Hello everybody and welcome back to Typical City. Arsenal are the challengers of Manchester City's title hopes this season. Are they the only ones though? But we're going to face them this Sunday, 8th of October, 4:30 kickoff, if you're wondering, in the UK of course, that time. And I will be doing a watch along, so come and join me for that. I can't wait for this one. It's a huge game, there's no two ways about it, a massive game. I'd argue it's more of a bigger game for Arsenal than it is for City, because I think psychologically now City know what they're doing. We have been here before, we know what a title race entails, we know what to do in these type of situations, and even if we lose, we're very likely to bounce back with a vengeance as well. We are good at turning situations around. We've already lost 2 games this season, one in the League Cup of course, and then of course one in the Premier League. Yet here we are top of the league, and I think that highlights the argument, and for me it puts the debate to bed of Centurions versus Invincibles, because albeit the Invincibles achievement was incredible as its own standalone achievement, the Centurions was ridiculous. And it's winning that what matters in the game. I think the winning aspect of the game is the most important thing to do, and with Pep Guardiola's arrival and the standards that Manchester City have now set proves that winning is of the utmost importance, because of where we are in the league. If you all you have to do is look at the Premier League table, we've lost a game. Arsenal are unbeaten. They haven't lost a single Premier League game. Yet we're top of the league, and that's what matters. At the end of the season, it's where you are at the end of the season. And if you put the Centurions into the league table when Arsenal went invincible, they'd win the league that year as well. So I do think psychology is going to come into this game, though. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Mikel Arteta and Pep go toe-to-toe. How will Mikel Arteta set out his team? Will he be fueled with emotion? Will he be able to check it and send his players on with a little bit more composure, a cool head, relax them a little bit? That is definitely an area of Mikel Arteta's game that I think has been susceptible, and it's the reason they didn't win the league last year, because of the psychology. City don't have that problem. Pep Guardiola, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing and he keeps them cool. He gets fired up in the right moments and he keeps it calm in the right moments. And these types of games, albeit there will be a tactical battle going on the pitch, I still believe the game will be won and lost through the emotions of this game. The psychology in this game will play a huge factor in who wins, who loses. But really, I think let's start with some housekeeping first of all, because there are some notable absentees. Of course, Kevin De Bruyne, the nemesis of Arsenal, the absolute arch nemesis of Arsenal Football Club is Kevin De Bruyne. He loves a goal. He loves a goal against Arsenal, doesn't he? Rodri is the big one for me, because we've already proved that we can survive and play very good football without Kevin De Bruyne. Maybe you could start to argue, with Haaland having not scored in 3 games, that with Kevin De Bruyne in the team, we would be a better goal-scoring machine up front, that we would have better chance creations coming through Kevin De Bruyne, because he's probably the best in the world at supplying Erling Haaland. But we've got Julian Alvarez. Julian Alvarez is sat behind him. There's no problem with it when it comes to goals from the side. Yes, Erling Haaland is a problem, but when it comes to the actual side, we're performing. We're doing well. We're scoring goals. Rodri's the big one. It really is. Going into that defensive midfield, and you accompany that with the fact that Pep has announced that John Stones is not ready for this game. And that was a huge blow. That's a huge blow for me, because I would have put him straight in as a defensive midfielder, potentially. I would have done a totally different predicted starting 11 that you're about to see. As a result of John Stones not being, well, I think he's available. I just don't think he's going to start him. I think that was Pep's indication, that because he was on the bench against RB Leipzig, so he's probably going to be on the bench against Arsenal. I still would start him. I understand where Pep's coming from, because, I mean, you talk about the deep end of a swimming pool. That is throwing you right in the deep end. First game of the season, not playing a Premier League minute so far this season for Manchester City. And he's playing his first minute away at the Emirates in a huge, huge game. I know it's early in the season, but it's still a huge momentum setter. You know, this will set the momentum and the tone for the rest of the season going forward. I'm going to go straight into my predicted starting 11 for Manchester City. Ederson in goal. Who else? Walker. Well, Ortega is who else, but it's not going to be him. Kyle Walker, right back. Diaz, Akanji and Gvardiol. I think that was kind of an obvious back four, but the reason you're only seeing one defensive midfielder in front of them is because I think Akanji is going to push forward again. And for me, that could have been John Stones. That should have been John Stones for me. I'm much happier John Stones doing that role. This new halfback role that Pep He's done it before, so it's not last season, wasn't the first time we've seen it with his sides in the past. Bayern Munich and Barcelona have all done this halfback, but last season was the first time it was given a name, put it that way, this new role. And Akanji's doing a good job. He's doing okay. He played that role against RB Leipzig. He did all right. He's got to step forward when we have the ball and give us that numerical advantage in the middle of the park, because I want to see that box again that we created against RB Leipzig. Now at the front of the box, sorry, before I go into the front of the box, of course, Kovacic is alongside Akanji, who will be when we have the ball. What you're seeing on your screen right now, excuse me, is Akanji in the back four, but he will step forward. He will definitely step forward if he plays in this formation. It's going to be really tough to fill the boots of Rodri. It's a nightmare scenario. It really is. It's not ideal. I've just done a video with Deluded Gooner. In fact, a good, reputable Arsenal channel that I've just done a preview with him. He invited me onto his channel, so big up to him. Go and check him out. You can go and check what I said on that channel as well. Go and like and subscribe to him. Really good, honest Arsenal fan. Good to have a chat with him. Really enjoyed that. And yeah, ahead of Kovacic and Akanji, who will obviously be stepping back and forth in and out of defence, Foden and Alvarez. Now, if that isn't a mouth-watering prospect as two attacking midfielders, I don't know what is, because at the peak of those boxes, that is pure creativity and goals as well. Both got a goal against RB Leipzig. Alvarez is player of the season for me so far. He's been absolutely phenomenal. He really has. And I don't think there's a space for Grealish. I know the Grealish fans out there will be disappointed to hear that. But you can't you can't argue with Doku. You know, you just can't. Right now, he came on in that final 19 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it was he played against RB Leipzig. He was fantastic, so explosive. You know, he's just a raw talent. He's just, there's something special about him, and he's getting goals and assists. That's something that Jack Grealish isn't doing. Whether Pep wants an extra element of control would be the reason why Grealish plays. And if Grealish does play, that's what he's going for. He's going for extra control. And I understand that. So I think it would be the end of the world for Grealish to start. If you ask me last season in City's form, Grealish at the end of last season, those 10 games at the end of last season, Jack Grealish was on fire. He was playing really well, getting assists and goals. Away at the Emirates, he got himself a goal. If it was that Jack Grealish, then I'd probably play him tomorrow. But it's not that Jack Grealish. We've got a different Jack Grealish right now. He's bang out of form. He's not playing well. And we can't pretend he's not, that he is playing well. And Doku is playing well, so therefore he's in. He has to play, surely. On the other side, Bernardo Silva, I thought, there's your control. You know, that same thing that Jack Grealish does, except Bernardo beats his fullback once in a while. And he's got goals and assists. I think he's been a really good addition to the wide play. And probably the reason why we didn't go extra hard for a Mahrez replacement. I know Doku technically fits that bill. But I think people were saying we need another. And I think Bernardo Silva's versatility is boding really well for City. So I've put him on the right. And who else? Erling Haaland up top. We have to get some goals for him soon, because we're about to, if we come out of the Emirates without a goal to Erling Haaland's name, 4 games without a goal. I'll get there in the end. I'll get there. Is not good. It's not ideal form. And even by Haaland's standard, 3 games without a goal is not a drought. You know, by most Premier League standards, that's not a drought. But by Erling Haaland standards, you start getting into the 4 games without a goal, and questions will be asked. And maybe not less so by City fans, because we know what he's capable of. Just the media will start writing narratives about Erling Haaland and his form, and it worries me. And I hope he can find his shooting boots. What I'm hoping for is spaces in behind, because he has gone up against a Newcastle side, a Wolves side, RB Leipzig side that all produced a very deep lying block, completely packed that box, surrounded by 2 or 3 defenders at times, Erling Haaland. So there is very little chance of him getting the ball under control and being able to do something with it. He still had chances, mind you, which he should be burying, but the game's made infinitely harder when you're surrounded by defenders. That's as simple as it can be, really. It really is that simple. Arsenal, on the other hand, I think they will push forward. I think Arsenal expect that. Their fans expect that, going forward and being and offering an attacking threat going the other way. I think they'll do that, which presents space, hopefully, and stretches the pitch and makes it more of maybe a potentially an end-to-end game, which suits Haaland, getting in behind, and hopefully we can see that, and we don't have to see Haaland working in the tightest of tight spaces. Hopefully we don't have to see that. In terms of Arsenal, Saka and Martinelli are the two major injuries that are a concern for them. There are rumours coming out that Saka might play, Martinelli might play. Some of the publications, Football London and A Pain in My Arsenal, as that's a good name, they're suggesting that he could well be thrown back in, Saka, and it isn't as bad as first feared. The fact that he's in the England squad as well, maybe, I don't know. But if I've not picked them, I'm assuming they're not, and that's good news for City. It's what they do with their wide plays now. What do Arsenal do? In terms of their predicted starting 11, I've gone with Raya in goal, Zinchenko, Gabriel Saliba, Ben White as right back. Partey's back. That's big news for Arsenal, and I think that gives Declan Rice a freelance license to be a number 8, go box to box, help Odegaard going forward, and help Partey at the back do that role, because Declan Rice has got the engine and he's got the ability at both ends of the pitch to do that role, and that's a problem. The Partey's back, that makes the midfield battle, where this game will probably be won and lost, a real problem for City, because there's no Rodri and there's no Kevin De Bruyne, and in that middle, you add those two teams, we win that battle. I think we win that 9 times out of 10. Now, without Rodri or no De Bruyne, I think Partey and Rice and Odegaard, they're going to present a major threat for Kovacic and Akanji to potentially deal with, or whatever defensive midfield options we go with now is going to be difficult to deal with Odegaard and Rice and Partey. I think that's where the game's going to be won and lost. And it's going to be really interesting if that whatever Pep's got up his sleeve for a defensive midfield option, that's going to be key. Up front, I've gone for Nketiah. Gabriel Jesus on the left, which City fans will be very familiar with going against Real Madrid. If you remember that, away at the Bernabeu, he tore them to pieces. Having spoken to the deluded Gooner that he doesn't believe that Jesus should be on the left, and Arsenal fans don't like that idea, I think they'll still do that, because Jesus can definitely play there. He played there when Mikel Arteta was at Manchester City. So I think what do you do without Jesus on the left? You start Reece Nelson or Smith Rowe, and I think Nketiah and Jesus and Trossard, those three all have goals in them. They all have the ability to score goals, and I think that's the threat that Arsenal need to have, because last season they were lacking against us as a goal threat. And Trossard on the other side, who scored in the Community Shield, of course, as well as he scored numerous goals for Brighton against City. One last season, in fact, before he signed for Arsenal. He beat Ederson at the near post, if you remember that. So Trossard's got our number. He's capable of scoring. It's a really tense game. Arsenal losing to Lens in midweek, that's huge. I think that really stifled a lot of momentum. Their creativity was exposed in the second half against Lens, where Saka is obviously not on the pitch at this point. And I think that was an obvious void that they struggled to fill. And Lens exposed that. And hopefully, from a City perspective, we can take that momentum, our momentum of RB Leipzig, and the lack of momentum from Arsenal now going into this game, having lost their last game, and just plant that seed of doubt into Arsenal players. In terms of the title race, I think it's going to be a fascinating watch, really, in the long term. This game won't decide the title, definitely not, certainly not for City, but more so for Arsenal, because of a psychological aspect of, we've lost to City again. You know, from their point of view, this is huge. From City's point of view, you know we can bounce back, but you never pass up on an opportunity to plant one on your potential title rivals, do you? You never do that. Liverpool, Spurs, they're all in a title race, so it's going to make for some really interesting viewing in the long term of this season. Who's going to last the full length of the race? I'm not too sure. If Spurs can, Liverpool and Arsenal potentially, but it's amazing. It's going to be an amazing game. My prediction's 2-2. The first time I haven't predicted City to win ever on this channel so far, and I'm predicting a 2-2 draw. Would you take a 2-2 draw? Get in the comments below and let me know if you'd take a 2-2 draw. Personally, I think that's not a bad result, considering Rodri and Kevin De Bruyne's absence. I think that's not a bad result. I really don't think it's a bad result. I'd err on the side of wanting to win. If Saka and Martinelli are both thrown in, I would snap your hand off for a draw right now. A full fit Arsenal side against us right now, I would take a draw. You remove Saka and Martinelli, I'm start swinging a bit towards like, we can do this, we can beat them, we can go there and win. It is just that Rodri absence, isn't it? It's a huge loss. Thankfully, this is the last game without him, and hopefully we can come back after the international break and hit the ground running again with Rodri firmly in the middle of our midfield for the rest of the season. Because life without Rodri has not been great. 5 losses out of 15 games without Rodri If we lose at the weekend, it'll be 6 games out of 16, and it starts to look quite ugly, and it highlights the importance of Rodri, and hopefully that's not exposed at the weekend. But get your comments in below. Thank you very much for joining me in this preview. Get your comments in, predictions in the comment sections below. I really want to hear them. Please drop a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.
This is typical City now, holding up Silva.